and welcome to another How Did They Do That Live. We are in March now, and I cannot believe how quickly this year has gone by. I can't believe we're already in the springtime and the beautiful sun's out and the almond blossoms are blooming, but here we are. And we have another How Did They Do That Live for you. And our topic today is Knowledge Constructor, and that is one of our ISTE standards. And we'll learn all about Knowledge Constructor and some of the different ways you can make sure that you're helping your students with that. Before we get started, though, just like every time we do this, there's just a little bit of housekeeping that I want to go over. So this is our agenda for the next hour together, and you do want to make sure to stay the entire time. I do have some surveys at the end as well as an attendance piece that you will only get at the end, so please make sure you stay the entire time. That way you get full credit for attending. And we'll go over all that housekeeping stuff here in just a moment. And then the rest of our agenda is here on screen. We will talk a little bit about the Knowledge Constructor Standard with myself. And then Anne Bonilla from the assessment department is going to take over, and she's going to spend a lot of time talking to you about student details in Performance Matters. She has some really great tips and tricks for you. So she'll do a fantastic job with her presentation, and then you guys will hear from me again. So I think this is the most I've spoken and How Do They Do That in quite a while. But we'll talk about approving YouTube videos and how you as the teacher can approve any YouTube video for your students to watch. And it's just a simple process, and I've got a couple resource videos for you on how to do that. And then we'll hear from our digital curriculum coordinator, Brandon Chisholm from the lovely EdTech team. He'll talk about approving apps and the app approval process. Not the app approval process, my mistake. He'll talk about the public-facing apps and how you can see whether or not an app has been approved, so you know exactly what stuff you can use in the district and what you might need to request. And then we will round out the day with our EdTech director, Matthew Ketchum, and he'll talk about some digital media literacy tools for you to use in your classroom. So we have a lot of great information for you today. As always, this is recorded, and we will share out the recording with you once I take attendance. I'll give you the recording, and then we'll chop up this recording into little bits and pieces and throw it on our YouTube channel and put that in our Bits and Bytes newsletter as well. So you'll get all the resources from today, tomorrow, including the slide decks and the recordings, and then stay tuned for kind of those smaller chunks of video as well in case there's any magic that you want to relive. Final piece of housekeeping stuff, just a reminder of our virtual PD norms. We do ask that you arrive on time and attend the entire event. This is a live event, so it is a little bit different than our normal PDs. You won't be able to enable your webcam or mic at all. They are completely disabled for the live event. There's also no formal chat. There's not like a quick chat back and forth. There is a Q&A function. So up in the top corner where you normally have access to a chat, you'll have a Q&A instead, and you can post questions there. And then the presenters can publish those questions for the audience to see and reply via text, or they can just talk out loud and answer that question out loud. So we do still encourage questions, just the methodology is a little bit different. And then, as I said earlier, stay till the end. That's where we're going to send out the attendance survey, and we do need you to fill out that survey in order to get credit for today. I will not share that till the end, though, so make sure you stay till the very end to get your attendance survey and the PD feedback surveys so that we know you attended and we can give you appropriate credit. And then, as usual, we mark attendance the following day. Once we mark attendance, we send that follow-up email with all of the resources from today, including that slide deck and the recording as well. And I think Anne will even share her slide deck as well, so you will get everything you need to from today. All right, I think that covers all our housekeeping items. So we'll go ahead and dive on into our Knowledge Constructor Standard. And again, this is one of the ISTE standards. And I'll be talking a little bit about that standard with you. So these are the 7 ISTE standards, and these are the ISTE standards for students. So they're ways for you to know that you are integrating tech meaningfully in your classroom with your students. We are down to, I think, our final 3 standards. Knowledge Constructor is today, and then I'm just kidding, we're down to our final 2. Knowledge Constructor is one of our final standards, and then we'll do Global Collaborator in April, and we have worked through all of the ISTE standards. So we've started with 7, we are down to just 2, and we're knocking out one of those 2 today. The text of the Knowledge Constructor Standard is here on screen, and basically it boils down to students being able to critically, that's the key word here, critically curate a variety of resources using digital tools to construct knowledge, produce creative artifacts, and make meaningful learning experiences for themselves and others. So this is not only are you students doing how to do appropriate research, but also, cite sources appropriately and acknowledge ownership appropriately. So the standard can kind of be a little bit of the digital citizenship piece as well, but it's actually putting that together and having students produce something. And these are some guiding questions you can ask yourself. Each of these guiding questions relates to a substandard of this larger standard here. And you can ask yourself as a teacher, you can see how you're providing opportunities to your students to use effective online searching strategies. So how are you giving them opportunities to do online research? How are you giving them opportunities to critically evaluate the resources they're seeing? So making sure that, they're not just accepting anything they find as fact. How are they critically evaluating that? How are they organizing their information? Is there, they just have a bunch of links pasted somewhere? Are they taking good notes? How are they organizing that information? And then with this research that they're doing, are they exploring real world problems? So how many opportunities are you giving them to explore some real world issues that they might be facing? So these are some questions you can ask yourself. As always, some subject areas have an easier time of this than others, but there are great ways and good examples of integrating these standards across all subject areas. So definitely, if you have any questions, you're not quite sure how to integrate this, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to give you some ideas or some, talk with you a little bit to get some conversation going and spark some ideas. All right, I think that's all with the knowledge constructor standards. So at this point, Anne, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to you, and you can go over your student details in Performance Matters.
Fantastic, Alexandra. Well, I have a bonus for you now, because not only are we going to look at student details today, but we are also going to look at some great ways to construct some nifty test items in Performance Matters that really will help students construct knowledge. So we've got a lot to share, and I'm just going to get started, and I will share this PowerPoint presentation so that at the end, when Alexandra sends out all the materials, she can send this out as well. So today we're going to take a tour. I do want to remind you that there are a variety of self-paced courses for Performance Matters in our PD catalog. These are courses you can do on your own time. They count towards the PD credits. There are 2 sections of Performance Matters test design and delivery, 2 sections of item writing, and 2 sections of dialogues with data. So make sure you check those out if you're trying to fill your bucket with PD hours. All right, so again, today we're going to tour the student portal and look at the student detail pages and all the great data that's available there. And what's wonderful about this is that the students have access to that same data in the student portal. So they have an app on the MCS app portal that will take them directly into Performance Matters and let them look at all the data about their learning as well. And then we're going to go over some different interactive test items. The ones I'm going to show you are samples. They are actually items that are created in the item banks that you can use, but you can also create your own interactive items if you want to with your materials. So let's get started. In case you didn't know, Performance Matters is our amazing new tool that allows you to create and deliver assessments, generate data reports, track interventions, and it also works in conjunction with Schoology, PowerSchool, and the Gradebook. So it's a fabulous tool, really a one-stop shop for all the things you need for assessments. So let's take a look at this is not supposed to be creating a test. Hold on a second. What happened to my student details? Hold on just a minute. Something happened to my PowerPoint. Let me take a look at this. Okay. Never mind. It's okay. All right. There we go. There was just a slide out of place. There we go. Okay. So let's talk about how students would log into the app portal so that they can see their data. First, the students would log into the MCS app portal. They'll have this little icon here that says Performance Matters Student, and then they will be able to see what happens, all of their data. So let's take a look. They'll get this picture. Normally, if they're going to take a test, they'd click on the blue line that says sign into student online testing, but for our purposes today, they'd want to look at this go to student portal, and parents can access this information as well via their student's device. So there are a couple different things to look at, and I've blurred out the personal information so that we don't expose anyone. But right here in this section under the red, it says use the tabs above to review different assessment types. So you can see that there is an overall student detail tab, common assessments results, state assessment results, and other additional results, which would be things that you might have created in Schoology yourself and given there. And so those results would be there. You can also see the student's schedule, gender, ethnicity, date of birth, and contact info from this page. The student's grades will be right here, and then below are all the discipline events that may have happened with the student and also the attendance records of the student. So there's a lot just on this very front screen to dig into. Now, let's look at some of the different tabs that are available. First, you've got your common test results. And those would be things that you've given through Performance Matters in Schoology or indirectly in Performance Matters. So those are our benchmarks, our readiness screeners, those kinds of things. SWON test data will not be in here because the SWON testing is done in its own portal through the SWON app. Same with DIBELS, that data would not be in common test results because that is not given through Performance Matters or Schoology. So these are only things that are built in Performance Matters and delivered via Schoology. The state test results is going to include all the historical state testing data for the student. So you can see that this is a high school student. They have several years of data, and the colors, blue is the best, and then green, and then yellow and red. So you can tell by the colors what band they're scoring in as above average, average, etc. Then on the additional results page, you're going to see all the imported measures. So you can see here we had to import the interim assessment score for the student because they don't take interim assessments in Performance Matters. So when that's imported, it gives you the scale score and then again those colored results. Near benchmark, approaching benchmark, meeting benchmark, or exceeding benchmark. All right. And then you can also see PSAT scores because those are imported results. And then we have our early warning indicators. So early warning indicators are things, clues that this student may be having trouble in certain areas. I'm going to go live very quickly and just show you what this looks like from a teacher's perspective. Now I'm impersonating a middle school teacher who is a social studies teacher. And I want to draw your attention right here to these, what we're going to call jelly beans. So if we click on the jelly beans, we can filter our students. So if we want to look at all the students, we click on the black jelly bean. If we want to look at students with disabilities, and you see when you hover, it'll tell you what they are, you can filter just to see your students with disabilities. If you want to look at your English learners, you can select that and deselect the students with disabilities. Now these are all the English learners or limited English proficiency students. ED is the free or reduced lunch students. And then EWS are students with that early warning indicator. So a lot of the students have the early warning indicators because they moved from MVA back to in-person school, and so that created a flag for them. One of the other really great features is that you can look at the test results right here. So if you look underneath this student, you can see he took all of his Constitution tests portions right here, and you can see how he did 100%, 100%, and then 67, right? You can also toggle this off up here where it says tests, and you can turn that button off and hide it, and it will just show you the standards that have been met, the number of standards, and how he's done on each standard. So that's very easy. You can turn those tests on or off. You can also select tests from this Select Test drop-down menu and say we want to see how everyone did on the Bill of Rights test. This will give us some data right here. So almost all the students in the school and the district and in this classroom all met that standard, which is fantastic. You can expand this. I'm sure you all have gotten very familiar with this through data dives, but you can filter for the students who see how many students didn't do well by coloring in the swatches. So if you want to see what percentage did not meet the standard, 13% did not meet the standard because the red box is filled in. You can also hover over the standard to learn more about it. If you aren't sure, you haven't memorized all your standards yet, you can look at them right here. If you wanted to look for a certain student, you can search here by their name or their student ID number. Just type it right in, and that'll pull that up. Now, obviously, I showed you that the students would see this data by going in through the student portal. When the students go in through the student portal, they will not see this view with all of the students. This would be the teacher's view. If a student went in, say the student right here, went in through the student portal, all she would see is this information here. Great question. I see that there's a question about ELPAC results. Are those in here? Yes, those are. Those would be here under test results. And then again, since it's a state test, they should be here under the state tests, or possibly here under additional scores, which would be an imported. Let's see if we can type in ELPAC here. You can always search. Those are not there. Let's see. So those may not be there for a variety of reasons. We may not have those. They would be available in the score in the reporting portion. So that's a little bit different than what we're doing here today, but I can show you in just a moment how to get to those ELPAC scores. But also, in addition to test results, you can see that you can look at the standards that the student has met. And this will tell you how they're doing in ELA and social studies. And you can, again, hover and it will, well, it was supposed to be updated, but it's not updated quite yet. They are rolling out a feature that will allow you to hover over the standard to tell you what that standard stands for. There it is. You just have to be very careful with your hovering. So you can see the standard means determine the words, the meanings of words and phrases as used in a text, and the student is approaching standards there. So that is the student detail page. You can also have this. This is called the progress monitoring plan, and teachers can set those up for students by adding new. And this might be if you're monitoring a student's behavior or their ability to turn their homework in. You can make a plan and track it. And since this student is in 7th grade or 8th grade, they have a variety of different teachers. And since they have a variety of different teachers, all the teachers would be able to see the PMP. Let's see. Here's state. Show all scores. And additional scores. No, I don't see the ELPAC information here. Let's see. Here's the common assessments. There's a variety of different pages. So far, I'm not seeing the ELPAC data. State seal of civic engagement. Let's look through these pages and see if we have any ELPAC scores. No, I don't see any ELPAC scores, but look, here we go. There are some quizzes that the student was given through Schoology, and you can see those scores here. And the interim assessments that were imported, you can see those scores here. You can also filter depending on the kind of things you want to see. All right. So that is the student detail page in a nutshell. And then if you wanted to look at, make a report and see the students' ELPAC scores, you could go to baseball card report. Look at the other imported measures. Here's the ELPAC scores. And then you could see the scores, overall scale scores here for your students. And that'll give you your scores. And this will give you the colors. Oops, I applied too many swatchings. There we go. So that's how you can see the ELPAC scores. And then whenever you're in Performance Matters, you can always click back here to Home, and that will take you back to your students. Are there any questions about that?
It doesn't look like any questions came in that I'm seeing
Okay.
in.
All right, fantastic. So let's move on. Let me go back to the PowerPoint, and I'm going to show you the test questions that you can build. So let's talk about them. There's a variety of different test questions that you can build in Performance Matters. And you're probably familiar with, true and false, multiple choice. There are graphing questions you can use if you're teaching math. But today I wanted to focus on the interactive items because those are for the Knowledge Constructor ITSD standard. So there are about 5 of them I want to go over. There is the HotText. And so in the HotText items, students will select phrases that answer the question by clicking on a phrase. So it's like a multiple choice test, except that they actually have to click on the whole item. There is a hotspot, and that's when different areas of an image are highlighted, and students will select the correct answer or answers in the image. There's a drawing type where students will draw their own image or add to an existing image using some drawing tools. There's a graphic gap match where students drag answers into a graphic organizer. And there's also upload interaction where you can ask students to create something and then upload it directly there. So let's take a look at what these look like. And I just have some screenshots and then I'm going to show you them live in a test I built. So here's a HotText. So you can see all of these different sentences would answer this question. One of these is the correct one. The student just has to click on that and it will move on to the next question. This is what a hotspot question would look like, where you would click in the circles to determine, for example, which parts of a human skeleton would be located in the skeleton of a dog. You know that a dog has a head, it has a spine, and it has legs, so you would click those 3 hotspots. You can draw. So for here the prompt says draw a diagram that shows how it's possible to see an object. Include the path that light takes from a light source to the object and then to your eye. And the students can choose the size of the pen, they can clear, and they can choose the different colors to use. This is a graphic gap match. So you can see that there are different sentences here, and they need to choose the sentence that matches each one of these people and drag it into this little space next to the person. And then upload interaction. This is a really hard slide to see, so I'm just going to expand on it a little bit. So for upload interaction, they typically have given the student a lot of information to think about. And then here is the direction for the question. Develop a model that illustrates Earth's internal surface process that cycle, matter, and transfer heat. Use labels to explain how temperature, density, and gravity affect the materials and processes. Use arrows to show the direction of motion. So the student would draw their own picture or diagram or use digital drawing tools, and then would upload that file right here. So this is a really great way to give students some creativity, but still administer a test through the digital platform. So right now I want you to think about, as I show you these different items, I'm going to show you a test, and I want to see, we don't have a poll today, but I'm going to show you the test, and you can tell me if you know what type of item it is. So I've added my test here to my Schoology course. Always you go to add materials, add common assessment, and then once you've added it, you publish it, right? Using the gear to publish. Now that it's published, I can click on it and see what it's going to look like. So let's take a tour. Here's our test with its 5 questions. All right, and a new feature now, we'll talk about that later. All right, so here we go. Let's take a look. So it's time for science class. Your teacher gives you and your partner a scale and some weights. All right, your assignment today is to put as many weights as you can and keep each side level. They're all the same size, but not the same weight. All right, and so now they want you to draw a picture of the scale if you took one weight off the left side. So you might draw something that looks like this, and then you would put your weights on here, 1 weight, 2 weight, 3 weights, right? And 1, 2, 3, oops. See, now I made a mistake because I'm supposed to take one off the left side. So since I made a mistake, I can clear it and try again. So we've got 1 on this side and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on that side. And then we submit. We go to our next item. All right, so now it wants us to match the product to the region where it's produced. Let's see, so citrus, I think citrus is going to be down here because I think salmon comes from way up here and vegetables come from here. All right, that's why we have Orange County down here, because of the oranges. Now, all right, here is our upload. Create and upload a map of the triangular trade routes linking Africa, the West Indies, and the British colonies in Europe. So obviously here, the student will draw a picture, they'll browse their Chromebook, find the file, and add it up here with their document. This question wants you to determine, based on the kinetic energy of this item, where will the block be located if this hits it? So is it going to be this picture or this one or this one? You have to choose the correct item. And then here is our HotText item. You can see that it really looks just like a multiple choice, except that you have to click and highlight the correct definition for stock as used in the sentence. So she invested money in an up-and-coming tech company, and she hopes to see an increase of income in her future. So is this goods at a store? No. Is it farm animals? No. Is it a stockpile, goods in your home? No. It is shares in a company. And that's it. And then you'd submit, oops. And then you'd submit the test. And there you go. And it'd be done. So that is the overview for today of Performance Matters. And if you've got any questions, please drop them in the Q&A. We also have a Performance Matters playlist on the EdTech YouTube channel. And we have some new videos in the News and Assignments tab that is on your dashboard. That is it from me. Don't forget to take your self-paced PD and get all those PD points. I'm going to turn it back over to Alexandra.
Thank you, Anne. Before you go, there was one question here of the ELPAC scores. Can they be added to the state?
We are going to be working on that. We didn't have a lot of that data to upload at the end of last year, so we're going to be working on uploading that and adding that to the state tab.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mhm.
It looks like you're working on a reply to that post too. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take back over now. Thank you, Anne, so much for going over those. If you do have any questions about any of the question types Anne showed or any of the score stuff that she showed, feel free to post those in the Q&A. I think Anne's going to stick on the call for a little bit longer so she can definitely get to those questions. And we are back to me, and we are talking about approving YouTube videos. So as staff, we now have the ability to approve YouTube videos. Just one reminder here that you do need to just be mindful of the videos that you approve. Make sure they are appropriate for your students, they align to your curriculum, and they're enhancing the educational environment, and then they're not some off-the-wall nonsense that you might hear about. This is just showing you how to approve. You guys know how YouTube is. It's the wild, wild west out there. So just be mindful of the stuff that you are approving and make sure that it is relevant to the content. And just a reminder, my name is Alexandra Hancock. I'm an instructional technology trainer. I've been talking to you probably for quite a bit over the past 6 years, but I'm definitely happy to help. You can find me here. My email is on screen, and you will get a follow-up email from me with the slide deck in case you want to loop back and find that contact information. All right, I have a couple of videos on this process for you, and if one of my team members could just let me know when I hit play. I think I included computer audio. If you just let me know that you could hear that, I'd appreciate it. We first have a video on the approval process, and then the second video is on the student side. So I'm going to hit play here, and just let me know, Matthew or Brandon, that you can hear this, please, or Ann.
Will do. I'm on it. It sounds wonderful.
Perfect. Thank you. Hey, Modesto City Schools teachers, are you tired of your students telling you they can't see a YouTube video that you want to share with them? Well, now at Modesto City Schools, any teacher can approve a video so that students across our entire domain can watch the video. Just a reminder before you watch the video, any technology-based materials and other educational materials shall be aligned with the academic content standards and the district's curriculum to ensure that they effectively support the district's adopted course of study. If you have any questions about what materials are okay to approve, just double check the board policy shown on screen. For your information, the IT department is also able to see who approves what videos. That way we can protect your reputation. Now let's go ahead and get started. The first step to approving these videos is to be signed into your district account. So here I am on YouTube, and I want to check that I'm signed into my district account. I can come up to my avatar in the top corner here, go ahead and click on that, and you should see which email you're signed in with. You want to make sure you're signed in with your district account. If you're not signed in with your district account, you might need to come down here to switch your account or sign out of your account and go ahead and sign into your district account. Once you are signed into your district account, any video you come across, if it is a video that anyone at Modesto City Schools can watch, it will let you know that this video is watchable by our domain. That means any staff or student in our domain can watch this video. However, if I come across a video that is not approved for our domain, you will notice it says video not approved for monet.k12.ca.us. That means that I as a staff member can watch this video, but my students will not be able to see this video. So you'll notice next to this video here, there is now an approve button. When you click on approve, this video will now be approved for students in our domain to watch. One thing to note is students do need to be signed in to their YouTube accounts, their district YouTube accounts as well. If you are not sure how to direct your students to sign into their district accounts, please review the video we have on that process. One thing I want you to know is once you approve a video, the video will be marked as approved for our domain, and you'll notice there is a remove button here. Please note that you will see this remove button for any videos that have been approved by any staff member. Please don't click this button as you might be disrupting some other teacher's lesson content. One other thing that you need to keep in mind is students are not able to search for any of the approved videos. So you do still need to provide a link to your students. Whether you post that in Schoology or you get that out to your students in a Teams chat or something like that, please make sure you still provide your students a link to the video you want them to watch. Thank you for watching this quick video on how to approve YouTube videos for our domain. All right, so that was the first video on the approval process. It's pretty straightforward. You just make sure that you're signed into your district account. You find the video, you hit that approve button. Again, be mindful of removing videos. If it's something you approved, you're fine to remove it for yourself. But if you hit that remove button, that does remove it for everybody. And I can't tell you how many times I've had to go into the EdTech channel and hit the approve button. I think it's been like 3 times in just the past month because somebody keeps removing the EdTech channel from the approved list. So please be mindful of that remove button and don't click it unless it's a video that you hit approved, maybe accidentally or something like that. The second video here, oops. There we go, Google. On to the next slide here. This second video here is the student side, and I'm going to go ahead and show you the process that the students then go through to watch the videos that you have approved.
Hey students, did you know that you need to be signed in to YouTube in order to be able to see all the videos your teacher approves for you to watch? Let's talk about how you can sign into YouTube. The first thing that you will need to do is go to youtube.com or go to one of the YouTube videos that your teacher sends you. Up in the very top corner, you can tell if you're signed in because it will not say sign in. If it does say sign in, we need to click to sign in. And you'll want to make sure that you sign in with your district account. So remember, student ID number @monet.k12.ca.us. If you don't see your account listed on your device, go ahead and click use another account and enter your information. Again, it's going to be your student ID number @monet.k12.ca.us, and you'll hit next. The password is going to be the same password that you use for everything. So just enter your password and hit next. Once you're brought back to YouTube and signed in, you can always double check that you're using your district account and not a personal account by clicking on the icon in the top corner and just double checking the email account that shows up here. If you see your @Monet email, that means you're using your district account and you will be able to see any videos that your teacher approves for you. Thank you for watching.
All right, so that was the student video. As you can see, pretty straightforward. And on their Chromebooks, they should be signed into YouTube. I would be very surprised if they were not signed into YouTube. So by default, I would expect they'd be signed into YouTube on their Chromebooks. But just in case they're not and they're not able to see your videos that you have approved, just show them this quick video here. As a reminder, I will be sending you the slide deck from today, so you have these videos. These videos are also on the MCS EdTech YouTube channel, so you can watch them there as well. And that channel has been approved. It might get removed again, but I will keep approving that channel so you guys can go ahead and watch these videos with your students. And next slide, there we go. At this point, I will go ahead and turn it over to Brandon. Brandon, do you want to share your screen or do you want me to just flip through the slides on my end?
I'll share my screen. I'll share my screen.
Okay, perfect. All right, take it away, Brandon.
Sure. Hello, everybody. Happy to be here. I hope you're happy to be here as well. And are you sure you want to share? I'm very sure I want to share. I'll start with, I was inspired by Alexandra. So I'm going to start with my introduction. I am Brandon Chisholm, your digital curriculum coordinator with the IETS team. If you have any questions or you just want to say hello, feel free to email me at my email address. It's just like yours, but chisholm.b is at the beginning instead. All right, so I did want to tell everybody about the MCS for Kids website and how you can use it to see our approved applications. So if you go to the MCS for Kids website, you can see a list of approved applications for digital curriculum, Chrome extensions, and EdTech apps. I kind of give you the rundown of how you'd get there here, but I'm actually going to show you. So I did go straight to the student page here. As you can see, if you go to the main site, you would need to go to students first, click Tech Help Center, and then it would take you to the page that I am currently at. Oh, wait, this one. All right, so once you're there, if you scroll down, you'll see MCS EdTech Approved App List. Students or you can click that button, and you will see the different lists. They are separated into 3 different lists, whether it's a curriculum, a Chrome extension or an add-on, or just a good old-fashioned EdTech app. One of the things that I always try to remind people, if you know of an application and you think it's great for students to use and you want us to check it out to make sure it's safe for students, if you click either of these links, well, not either, we're staff here. click this video and it will show you how to put in a tech order software request if you've never done that before. Please do, we'll vet it out and we can add it to our lists if it gets approved. And then obviously parents and students have their own version of the form there themselves. If you have any questions about these lists, how to not how to access them, I just showed you that, but if you're curious about an application or how to use it, please let me know and I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can. And that's really it. I just want you all to know that it's there if you didn't, and that it's good to use. So that's all I have about our approved applications lists.
All right. Thank you, Brandon. That was fantastic. Brandon is one of the people who has, well, I think it's been primarily you since you joined our team. He has worked really hard on getting these apps approved. He does all the research on the student data privacy policies and all of that. So he really ensures that these are good apps for our students, and he's worked really hard on this. So thank you for sharing that, Brandon. I'm really excited that we have a public-facing list now. So I know I could just point people to that and say, hey, go check it out. You can see if it's approved right then and there. So thank you.
Thank you.
Our final presenter for the day is Matthew Ketchum. Matthew, do you want to share your screen or do you want me to go ahead and flip through my screen?
Let's see here. I will share my screen.
Okay, perfect. And we're hearing about digital media literacy resources with you today, correct?
That is correct, Alexandra.
Fantastic. All right, take it away, Matthew.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. So part of the how they did that live events that we have monthly are aligning to a ISTE standard for students. And these are the premier technology standards for using tech with students in education. The month of March, as Alexandra said, wow, we're already here in March. The month of March is Knowledge Constructor, as you're seeing different ideas. And one of those ideas is for students to evaluate the accuracy, perspective, credibility, and relevance of information, media, data, or other resources. And that fits into a topic in EdTech called digital media literacy. And so I have some resources to share with you. And these are resources for educators can use with their own classes. So my name is Matthew Ketchum, your neighborhood-friendly director of educational technology, and I was inspired as well from Alexandra's slide. So I think I continue that on as Brandon did. And digital media literacy, so what is that? Is the ability to access, analyze, and create and use digital media. This includes everything from knowing how to find credible information online to being able to communicate using digital media. And that's a lot of the information we all get is surrounded to us in digital media format. So if it's on the computer, if it's internet websites, if it's blogs, if it's posting in social medias, if it's on our phones. So a lot of information is coming to us in the way of digital. And so this is looking at how do you kind of sort through that for the accuracy, credibility, relevance of that information. So a couple of tips judging online information. As we were talking about, there's so much information on the internet, but you gotta be careful. You can't trust every website. You can't trust every information because a lot of it is very open to be created by anyone. So you do need to have this digital media literacy with evaluating the websites and the information. So looking at is the site reliable? Is the site biased? Is the information relevant? What is the site's purpose? Is the information current? I have a quick video that I'll play. I'll talk a little bit about this. And Alexandra and Brandon, if you let me know if you can hear this video as well.
With so
Sounds
much information online, it can be tough to know what's factual and what's inaccurate or sensationalized. That's why you should always evaluate what you find online to confirm its reliability. First, determine if the website you're visiting is reliable. Trustworthy websites offer objective fact based on thorough research. but there are many other sites willing to share less reliable information. Always find out where an article or video got their information to ensure they're sticking to the truth. If an article makes a claim without mentioning the source of that claim, be skeptical. Next, always keep an eye out for bias, as a biased website may distort the truth in order to influence you. They may use emotional language, make broad generalizations and assumptions, or leave out key facts. To overcome bias, focus on the facts of an article, and then check multiple websites covering the same topic. While this process may seem time-consuming, getting different perspectives can shed new light on a subject, while helping you look beyond possible bias. In addition to external bias, you also need to watch out for your own. Confirmation bias is the tendency to seek out and favor information that reinforces your existing beliefs, and it can make it harder to look at a site objectively. To get over confirmation bias, ask questions to try and understand different viewpoints, and investigate the accuracy of all the information you consume, whether you agree with it or not. Comedy writing is all over the internet, so it's possible that an outlandish article could actually be a joke. Some sites, like The Onion, write humorous content based on current events, and at first glance, their stories can look authentic. However, if a story seems a little too wild, make sure it isn't trying to be funny. Finally, whenever you check multiple sources, also consider using fact-checking sites like PolitiFact, FactCheck, or Snopes. These sites specialize in researching current events and claims. Although these sites aren't perfect, they do provide reliable sources that you can investigate yourself. The internet is full of near limitless knowledge, but it's up to you to figure out what's reliable and what's not. Take your time when consuming information online, because truth is worth the effort.
One of the tools that I remember this when I was in school, actually. CRAAP, website evaluation test, the CRAP test, looking at the currency, the timeliness of the info, relevance, how the info fits your needs, authority, the source of the info, accuracy, reliability and correctness of the info, and purpose, the reason the info exists. So a couple of the sites that we have in the slide deck that will be shared out with you and you saw in the video are linked on the slide deck, and you can take a look at those. And again, those are great sites to check current events, and they have information about different current event stories that you can fact check. So we're going to do a little practice here real quick. So this is a neat practice. Let me load up. Here's the website. So I'll give you a moment here to look at this website, and we're gonna kind of delve into digital media literacy with this site. Help save the endangered Pacific Northwest tree octopus from extinction. So we got a website. Looks like over here we got some articles. They even put the source. We have images. Their maps. You can kind of go down, more information. Let's see, sightings. There's tabs here on this. So there's some more photos. Look at that one. Looks pretty real. There's the octopus in the tree. So it's a near sighting. All right, so let's take a look at this. So according to the site, there is a type of octopus that spends much of its life in trees. It sounds pretty interesting. It has a scientific name even, and there's plenty of scientific sounding information about it on the site. There's a nice photo of it. On the left side, there are links to articles, as we saw. There's even videos under some of the tabs that from credible resources. So far, it looks pretty good. You might even, use this to write your article on. But let's just be sure. So digging a little bit deeper. Looking at the photo again. This photo may look convincing, but maybe this, and with all the editing tools we know, is it a real photo or was it a combination of a photo someone made? This thing, as you know, is common online. Some of the photos that we saw, did they look convincing or were they fake? Even the videos that were on here, after you start watching them, maybe they don't even mention the content that's on the site. So actually doesn't add to any credibility to the site. So is it possible that the site is a hoax? So let's see. So doing Google searches on this, and it will pull up different pages, and you'll see that they'll mention on these different pages that it is a hoax. And you'll get more information doing a little bit more research, finding different journals talking about it as well. So you can start to do some more research and vet out the information on it. So that's part here in the slide deck as well. And then for the next item, I have another video that will play.
Ads, news, movies, TV shows, and many other types of media all want you to accept their messages at face value. However, you should look beneath the surface and ask questions to decode what these media messages are really saying. First, ask who is the source of the message. Knowing who is ultimately responsible for a message can reveal its true intentions, as well as any possible bias. If the source isn't obvious, you can find it by following links or checking legal disclaimers. Next, how is it trying to get your attention? The obvious part of a message is called the text, which includes any language, imagery, music, or anything else you can see and hear. Creators can use a multitude of techniques to grab your attention, and they will often craft the text to appeal to a specific audience. But even if you enjoy the message, try to remain critical so you can see if the message contains actual substance or if it's all smoke and mirrors. Also, how could this message be interpreted? The implied part of a message is called the subtext, and it's suggested by the content rather than directly seen or heard. We as individuals then decide how to interpret that subtext based on our personal biases, worldviews, and expectations. People with different perspectives might interpret the same piece of media very differently. While this may not be a big deal with entertainment media, different interpretations of news and educational media can create confusion and misunderstanding. Try to set aside your biases and preconceptions, and you'll be more likely to get in tune with what the message is actually trying to say. Finally, is the message fair and trustworthy? Some media may withhold or exaggerate info, like an ad that makes their product appear more effective than it really is. Make sure you always get a complete set of info from trustworthy sources, even if the media itself neglects to do so. Deconstructing media messages is a critical skill in our media-saturated culture, as it helps you cut through the noise and reach your own conclusions.
And a couple of resources I have curated here for educators and digital media literacy that you can try these out with your students and in your class. These are all linked that you can click on. New York Times has a really neat activity. Can you spot the fake post? And this is an interesting one for us to go into as well. Let's see, it's not loading up for me now. Uh-oh, gotta log in. That is actually a really neat one once you log into that site. Alexandra, I forget, do we have New York Times in the MCS app portal?
I want to say we do. I think we have a license for 712 students.
712, that's right. So in the MCS app portal, I believe you can get to the New York Times in the MCS app portal and it will log you in. Let me check as I go through this. The other one is Museum Ed, and they have some lessons as the story share worth. lesson that you can do in the class. And this is all laid out for the lesson plan, the videos, everything that you do as an instructor. This is grades 6 through 12, this lesson. They also have Escape Junk News lesson, which is really great. Again, I really like these because they're already laid out for all the information of the lesson, for the teacher, the videos, the activities that a teacher can use and download. And they're both about 30 minutes to an hour lessons. Common Sense Education has a really good news media literacy educator kit. So let me click on that. And this is a great resource, Common Sense Education, but they have a lot of really good information here to look at for different lessons that you can use with your class. The other one I really like is Checkology. This is more for high school level, and this is free that you can use. And this will give different trainings, different videos, different quizzes on digital media literacy for education. TED Ed, they have a really great one. Can you spot the problems with these headlines lesson that you can use? And what you just saw, what I was using, came from GCF Learn Free with that octopus in the tree lesson. It came from here. And then I do want to share, we do have Turnitin as a district license, and they have Evaluating Source Credibility Educator Lesson Kit. And then just as we know, Turnitin itself helps students when they submit it, that they can check on the sources that they're using. So are they citing their sources correctly, and help them become better writers. And Turnitin is built into Schoology, and that's for 712 teachers and students as well. So lots of good resources on this slide. And let me check real quick. I don't know, Alexandra, did you get a chance to see if it's in the MCSF portal?
No, I didn't. I was working on
Okay.
getting my attendance forms out, so I did not get a chance to check.
Okay. We will include it if it is in the follow-up message to you all, but I kind of remember that New York Times might be in the MCSF portal to get to. So you don't have to sign in as you're seeing I was trying to. All right, well, thank you, everybody, and I'll turn it back over to Alexandra.
Thank you, Matthew. I am heartbroken that I can't buy a tree octopus. I love octopuses, octopi, whatever the proper plural is, and I'm heartbroken that that's not a real thing. I have to have an aquarium if I want one. And I also want to buy that suit that will impress snails. That video cracked me up. All right, so that brings us to the end of the webinar.